তারপর বলো।
আমি মাঝে মাঝে লাইভ ক্লাসে থাকতে পারি না, আমি বলে থাকতে পারি তবে কি স্যার এই পাঠান পাওয়া যাবে স্যার ওই লাইভ ক্লাসের?
अच्छा, फिरदौस सनोवर म्यूट करो, नहीं तो कमल का जो वॉइस वो क्लियर नहीं आ रहा है। फिरदौस, हाँ हाँ कमल बोलो।
স্যার আমি মাঝে মাঝে লাইভ ক্লাসে থাকতে পারি না, মানে আমি রেলের ড্রাইভার। কোনোভাবে কি এই ক্লাসের রেকর্ডিং ভার্সন পাওয়া যাবে?
হ্যাঁ, রেকর্ডিং ভার্সন আমি বলছি। যেহেতু এটা আরসি থেকে করানো হচ্ছে, ওরা একটা আর্কাইভ তৈরি করবে, সমস্ত ভিডিও রেকর্ডিং ওখানে অ্যাভেলেবেল হবে, কিন্তু এখনো তৈরি হয়নি। ওখানে যখন অ্যাভেলেবেল হবে ওখান থেকে তুমি পেয়ে যাবে, কিন্তু অ্যাট প্রেজেন্ট এটা পাওয়া যাবে না। এটা যেহেতু ওদের ডকুমেন্টস, ওরা আর্কাইভ তৈরি করার পর ওখান থেকে অ্যাভেলেবেল হবে। ওটা খুব তাড়াতাড়ি ওরা তৈরি করবে, যেহেতু রেকর্ডিং গুলো হয়ে যাচ্ছে আমাদের ডকুমেন্টস। ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ।
ঠিক আছে, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
So let us start with our reading material, students. In the last class we have completed unit 1 of block 1. Today we shall start with unit 2, block 1. In your text that you have downloaded.
Madam, what is page number?
Yes, I'll tell you the page number. In the text that you have downloaded, please open the page number 18, 18, point number 2.3. This we will read. 2.3, page number 18. The title of the text which we are going to read and analyze is the text excerpts from Shishir Kumar Das's The Mad Lover. The Mad Lover. This is the name of the piece that we are going to read. In the previous lesson, we have come to know, we have got the information from the essay that Indian literature is a conglomeration, is a combination of various individual languages and literatures. And each language and literature has its own dialect, several dialects. This we have already learned. And now in unit 2, we are going to read about those different movements which will prove the same thing, that different movements are at the same time simultaneously running or continuing in different areas, in different languages, in different forms. One of them has been described here by Shishir Kumar Das, that mad lover. Mad, the word mad means one who is insane, one who has no power of rationality. Text is from page number 18 to 20. You shall read this one and analyze it as far as it is needed for you. Mad is not used here in a pejorative way. Pejorative means insulting. P-E-G-O-R-A-T-I-V. You will get it in the text. The word mad is here not used in a bad sense. It is being used as a qualification, as a quality of those persons who are extremely in love with God, who are extremely devoted to God. They are so much devoted to God that they have almost lack of rationality, and therefore they are called mad. Mad lover. Mad lover here means a devoted lover, a person extremely religious, full of ecstasy. So you have got the meaning of the title. Now we will go through the text. Please open the text in your computer or your mobile, or if you have a hard copy. The dominating note of Indian religious poetry in the medieval period is that of an ecstasy. Ecstasy. Ecstasy is a new word. Write down in your copybook and I will tell you the meaning. I have said in the first class that whenever you will read with me, whenever you will be attending my class, bring the text and a notebook and a pen. Whatever new word you will get it, write it down in your copybook and get the meaning and use it later on. Otherwise, you won't be able to develop your vocabulary, your stock of words. If you want to write in English, better English, you must have to increase your vocabulary. One of the way of increasing vocabulary is to add more and more new words in your stores. So the beginning of the line
Ma'am,
is,
could you please repeat the page number?
page number is 18. From 18 to 20 is the text that we will be reading thoroughly, and from which you will have to attempt questions. The name of the text is excerpts from Shishir Kumar Das's The Mad Lover. The Mad Lover, the word is within single quotation. This is the title of the essay, and mad here is not used in a bad way, in an insulting way. Mad here means a person who is in ecstatic love with God. Okay, may I continue with the text? The
Yes,
dominant.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Yes, yes,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
yes.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of excerpts?
Except means footage, footage. Something which is footage,
Okay, ma'am.
it is brought out, excluded from
Okay.
something.
Okay, ma'am.
The dominating note. If you have any, while I'll be reading this whole text, I will try to give you the meanings which to me seems to be you don't know. So you will write down those meanings, and those which you don't know, but I have not told the meaning, please write down in your copybook. At the end of my teaching, I will give you 10 minutes to ask questions, and after that, I will ask you questions, short questions like quiz. And those short questions will be depending on this discussion. So be very careful while you are listening to my speech, and also write down whatever new word you are getting, whether I am giving you the meaning or not. If I am not giving you the meaning, ask me at the end of the lesson. Okay?
ম্যাডাম একটু ইন্টারাপ্ট করছি
Now,
learners be careful when you enter in counseling session. Use your actual name, don't use your nickname or others. Easy steps, use your actual name, don't use,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
yes,
Sir,
use
sir, I
your,
will change it, sir, today.
okay,
Sir, I want to ask something, sir.
just a minute, you just change your name, then ask any question. First of all, you change your name, unless
Okay, sir.
I remove from here, force remove from here. Okay?
Okay, sir.
ম্যাডাম আপনি স্টার্ট করুন।
thank you. So come with the text. The dominating note of Indian religious poetry in the medieval period is that of an ecstasy. Meaning of the word, write down the meaning of the word ecstasy. Ecstasy means extreme joy. Ecstasy means extreme joy. I will explain it when we will go through details of the text.
Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes? Yes?
ম্যাম প্লিজ আরেকবার একটু বলুন, মানে আরেকবার একটু ওয়ার্ডটা বলুন, একটু ভয়েসটা ড্রপ করছে, শোনা যাচ্ছে না।
Pakhi Shah, mute your microphone. Pakhi Shah, mute your microphone. Pakhi Shah, yes. Okay, okay, madam.
Ecstasy, ECSTASY. Ecstasy means extreme joy, extreme religious joy. Ecstasy means extreme joy. I will make you understand later on. You just now write down the meaning, verbal meaning of the word. What is ecstasy? This is a religious poetry, so ecstasy here will give you another meaning. Ecstasy means extreme joy. Okay? Now, the dominating note of Indian religious poetry in the medieval period is that of an ecstasy, a longing of the devotee for union with God and merge his identity with Godhead. In no other period of Indian history, one finds so many saints and poets in different parts of the country. Saint means, saint means religious person. Hermit, 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 which in Bengali called sannyasi. In no other Indian history, no other period of Indian history, one finds so many saints and poets in different parts of the country, speaking different languages, practicing divergent rituals. Divergent means various, different kind of, belonging to different religious orders, and yet behaving almost in an identical manner in their approach to God. The image of a mad lover is the most conspicuous Conspicuous means obvious, prominent, is the most conspicuous image, is the most conspicuous and the most recurring imagery in the medieval religious poetry. So, in the first paragraph, the author is telling us that during the medieval period in India, there were a good number of poets who were actually religious persons. They were saints or or religious persons who were writing in different languages, and the theme of their poetry was just their devotion and their desire to be united with God. Their devotion and their desire to be united with God. So the gist of the first paragraph is that Indian medieval period literature is full of religious poetry. The dominant note, the principal tune of religious poetry was ecstasy. What is ecstasy? Ecstasy is a kind of joy, is a kind of extreme joy that the worshipper gets when he is worshipping a god, when he is worshipping or singing or dancing for God. Now, to explain my word ecstasy and what is a religious person singing and songing and ecstasy, I will give one or two examples. Many of you perhaps are Bengali and know, you know
Madam,
about
can you repeat the part from ecstasy?
ecstasy.
Yes, ma'am.
What? Yes, repeat your question, Devojit.
I didn't get what you just said, ma'am.
Now, I
Your
will,
vo
I will give,
your voice is very blurry, so I didn't get it.
voice is cracking or I am becoming very quick.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You're just getting too quick, ma'am.
I am getting. Okay. I am becoming slow. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
And
Thank you, ma'am.
ecstasy, you have asked for the word ecstasy, isn't it?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ecstasy means extreme joy. The word meaning, verbal meaning. Ecstasy means extreme joy. That is, here is used as in a religious sense. And to explain it, I am asking you that perhaps all of you have heard about Ramakrishna Paramahansa. You have heard about Ramakrishna Paramahansa stories, incidents that how when he used to worship goddess Kali in Dakshineshwar, he used to sing and dance. He used to speak with goddess Kali, and sometimes he used to take sweet, a piece of sweet he used to take himself first and then he gives it to Kali. I have perhaps you've heard it. What is this? This is a communion. This is a communion between the devotee and the devoted, between the creator and the created, between Kali and his worshipper, between God and his worshipper. This sort of communion, this sort of feeling that the worshipper or the person who is worshipping the God is feeling, that is called ecstasy. Sometimes when you have heard a kirtan, you have heard that how people used to sing and play kirtan in Bengal sometimes. And when they used to sing kirtan, they are as if in a trance. They are as if in a trance-like condition. They are not in a real world. They sing in such a way as if they are extremely joyful. They are pleading to the God. They are worshipping God in an instinctive manner. I don't know whether I could have made you understand or not what is ecstasy. Please, at least one of you tell me by opening your mic that you have understood it. Because you are much junior, very young chaps. Tell me
Ma'am,
what
ma'am,
yes, yes,
ma'am,
tell me.
by understanding this, I have written 4 points.
Yes.
Can I tell them
No,
about
please,
this?
please write down all the points and write down all the words, the meaning of which are not known to
No,
you.
ma'am. There's no problem. Actually, the thing is like the thing what I've understood is it right or not? That I wanted to say.
Yes, yes, tell me.
Okay. Indian medieval period were full of religious poetry. First
Yes.
point. Second is in this period many saints were found.
Hmm.
Third, different kind of poets and poem of different languages were written.
Yes, that's good.
Fourth, and most of the poems were to connect with the god.
The theme of the poems were about their desire to connect with God.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
I'll give you the points like the last class. That's one. I will read it and then I will give you the points. You write down the points. Uh, in the last class, I have given you so that you can write your answer. So may I go to the second para? Second para, come to the second para. The Bhakti movement. The Bhakti movement in India was also a movement of the common people who revolted against the established religions and challenged the social conventions. The movement also voiced the joy of liberated spirit. There was an abundance of emotion. Abundance means sufficient, প্রচুর, too much in number, abundance. There was an abundance of emotion, emphasis on music, dance, and poetry as a mode of worship, a discovery of the power and the beauty of the language of the people. The God of Bhakti movement is no longer a transcendent and immanent reality beyond all comprehension and sense. It is the God close to the heart of the common man. At times, the deity means the God, the particular image or the particular God. Some of us we used to worship Shiv, some of us used to worship Krishna, some of us Saraswati. That is a deity. They are different deities, God or goddesses. At times, the deity appears as a child, and at times as a friend, and more often as a lover longing to meet his beloved. So these we have started our analysis, our lesson with the word mad lover. Who are the mad lovers? Mad lovers are those religious poets who are like madmen, expressing their desire to be united with God. And that movement is called the Bhakti movement. Bhakti movement comes to the second para. We will be again reading it and analyzing it now. The Bhakti movement in India was a movement of the common people. The Bhakti movement, one very famous and very common example is the example of the Vaishnava movement, initiated by Lord Chaitanya, Chaitanya Dev of Navadvip. It was a part of Bhakti movement. Bhakti movement, these type of movements were originally a very common popular movement. When common people who revolted against the established religions, particularly they revolted against the Brahminical upper caste restrictions, and they revolted against it. They revolted against the established religion and challenged the social conventions. And therefore, through it, through Bhakti movements, those people, ordinary people who don't belong to the higher class, who are not Brahmins, Vaidya's, Kayasthas, who are lower class people, and who are very much religious, they establish that yes, they have also their right to worship God in their own way. And they went against the social convention. The movement also voiced the joy of liberated spirit. Liberated spirit, whose spirit is liberated? The common man's spirit is liberated. So long, a common man cannot enter. A common man cannot worship God. And still now, we know that in many of the temples, some type of people are not allowed to enter. You know that in Puri's temple, a non-Hindu is not allowed. Whether it is right or wrong, that's another thing. We are not going to there. There are some temples where women are not allowed to enter. So this movement tries to assert that why God is everybody. There should be liberation, there should be freedom for everybody to worship God. So this movement of Bhakti movement, was the joy of the liberated spirit. The common man was liberated through this Bhakti movement. There was an abundance of emotion, and in these poems of Bhakti movement, in these songs of Bhakti movement, there was abundance of emotion, emphasis on music, dance, poetry as a mode of worship, a discovery of the power and beauty of the language of the people. Before the Bhakti movement, before Chaitanya came, before Mira came, before Kabir came, there was no dance, song, and other things. People used to worship. Even now, if you analyze, there is one sort of worship. When you go to worship Goddess Durga or Goddess Kali or something, do you dance? Do you sing? I don't think that you dance or sing. You just say some hymns, some Sanskrit mantras, and worship Him. So this is not like by the Bhakti movement. This is not like by the people of Bhakti movement. They rather invented another sort of poetry in which there are abundance of emotion, there is sufficient of emotion, emotion for God, emotion for whom I am worshipping, emphasis on dance, poetry as a mode of worship, a discovery, and by this way they discover the power and beauty of language of the common people, of the people themselves common people. The God of the Bhakti movement is no longer a transcendent and immanent reality beyond all comprehension and sense. God, before the coming of Bhakti movement, God was something higher, something outside this world, something beyond our comprehension. But with this Bhakti movement, God came closer to us. We are writing poems. Naine Makan Khau. Lord Krishna is saying the Naine Makan Khau. So you are imagining Lord, you are imagining God, not as a person far away from you. You are comparing him like your own child. You are comparing him like a child in your own home who has stolen butter, who has stolen something. Often used to speak. At times, the deity appears as a child, and at times a friend, and sometimes he is a friend also. With Radha and Krishna, they are comparing them as friends, and more often as a lover longing to meet his beloved. If you read Mirabai's poem, Mirabai is comparing Krishna as his beloved, and he is denouncing, has given up all the pleasures of being a king, of the life, a comfortable life of a palace, and he went away for the worship of God. So, second paragraph gives us the description that Bhakti movement, in which he gave the idea of mad love. Bhakti movement was a movement by the common people in which they started to sing, write poems in memory of God, expressing their desire to be united with God. And God there is not a faraway thing, but God is here in Bhakti movement. Is a person very close to us. He is a friend, he is a lover, he is a child. May I go to the next para? The para third. Please tell any one of you.
Ma'am, this meanings transcendent.
Transcendent which is far away. Far away. Transcendent is immanent. These are the words means the God who is far away, not very close to us, who is transcendent. Next,
Oh,
the Islamic mysticism. Next para. The Islamic mysticism or Sufism. Sufism is an important one which you will again you have to read in the next unit. Islamic mysticism or Sufism emerged. Emerge means to come out. বেরিয়ে এসেছিল. All of you are Bengali or some of you are speaking because I should not speak Bengali in that sense. We are actually allowed to speak only Hindi and English. Um, the Islamic mysticism or Sufism emerged almost at the same time in the Middle East. Rabia, the mystic of Basra, who is generally considered to be the most important saint in the Sufi movement, was also one of the first to enunciate new word, underline, enunciate, write down, to enunciate the doctrine of divine love, similar to the nature of love as found in Indian Bhakti poetry. Now, the previous two paragraphs, Devojit had asked me, Devojit has already asked me to be a bit slow, but I am becoming quick. I'm trying to be slow. In this paragraph, in the third paragraph, the author is telling us about Sufi poetry, about Sufism.
Madam, your voice is not coming properly.
Voice is not coming properly. What should I do? Everybody is close.
Yes, ma'am, your voice is breaking and we can't hear you properly.
Ma'am, I think you should put earphones, ma'am.
Okay, what are you saying?
Ma'am,
Maybe it's
earphones
your
आप लगा
network
लीजिए.
problem or earphone problem.
Yeah.
Maybe there is network problem. So what can be
Yeah,
done?
ma'am. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I am an old woman, therefore you should guide
Ma'am,
here.
yeah, ma'am, you have
Ma'am,
Wi-Fi
I
now.
think you should
You can
use
connect.
my headphone, ma'am. I think.
मैम
What
यू शुड
please?
यूज ईयरफोन्स मैम प्लीज आप यूज ईयरफोन्स लगा लीजिए शायद मे भी
Oh,
अच्छे से आवाज आए.
अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है बेटा ठीक है थैंक यू so I want to give some written lines some sort of PowerPoint presentation but I don't know how to if it had been online class I could have done it because I am accustomed with doing PowerPoint and then presenting it through computer but I cannot do it while I am going with mm, right okay
Ma'am, if you're
now beta
using PowerPoint, then what you can
Session,
do
please stop
is you
presenting.
can. Hello,
yes yes
ma'am. I'm
bolo
saying
beta
if you're using PowerPoint, what you can do is you can install this application in your
hmm.
computer, and you
Hmm.
can share your screen with us. So what
बेटा
happens is,
मेरा मैं तो वो शेयर स्क्रीन करना नहीं जानती हूँ
मैम
आई
उतना डिफिकल्ट नहीं है, बस वहाँ पर एक ऑप्शन वहाँ पर लिखा वहाँ पर होगा. सो
अच्छा
अभी तो फिलहाल आप नहीं कर पाएगा. तो व्हाट यू
नहीं
कैन डू इज इफ यू कुड, अगर आप ईमेल आईडीज में अगर दे देता पावर पॉइंट तो इट वुड बी गुड ओनली.
नो मेरा कंप्यूटर में पावर पॉइंट है हाँ
मैम
तो
आप
तो आप
आपको
स्क्रीन
अगर हम
रोटेट
लोग
कर
ग्रुप
दीजिए
में
फिर.
इन्वॉल्व करें तो ग्रुप में आप अगर दे दीजिएगा पावर पॉइंट तो वो भी हो सकता है क्योंकि हम लोग का जो ग्रुप है वहां पे भी आप पावर पॉइंट दे दोगे तो सबको मिल जाएगा.
तो
नहीं,
वहां पर
लेकिन पावर
कैसे
पॉइंट का एप्लीकेशन गूगल ग्रुप में नहीं आएगा क्योंकि उसका फोल्डर अलग है, सपोर्ट नहीं करेगा फोन पे.
तो बेटा
नहीं
वो मार्शल मार्शल
जी
को बात कर रहे हो
जी मैम.
बेटा तो मैं मेरा जीमेल तुम्हें बता दूं तो तुम वहां पर हमें सेंड कर दोगे कैसे इसको बनाना है
एज इन स्क्रीन शेयरिंग आप बोल रहे हैं?
हाँ
जी
स्क्रीन शेयर
जी बिल्कुल मैम, जी मैं बता दूंगा आपको कैसे किया जाता है.
तो मैंने वो पहले एक बार मेरा जीमेल दिया था लास्ट क्लास में
जी हाँ
तो
मैम, आपका ईमेल आईडी है मेरे पास.
तो उसमें भेज दो
हाँ जी, मैं आपको एक नॉर्मल मेल कर दे रहा हूँ, उसमें आप डेफिनेटली मुझे पावर पॉइंट दे सकते हैं, एंड देन अगेन आई टेल यू स्टेप बाय स्टेप उसको कैसे किया जाता है, या फिर मैं ही स्क्रीन शेयर कर दूंगा. तो फ्रॉम देयर यू कैन लुक एंड यू कैन डिक्टेट.
बेटा आज तो ये संभव
आज तो ये
नहीं है
पॉसिबल नहीं होगा बिकॉज इसमें टाइम कंज्यूम हो जाएगा मैम. नेक्स्ट
टाइम
क्लास में
कर
अगर आप कर सकते
हाँ
हैं
तो
तो.
नेक्स्ट क्लास में मैं पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंट करके रखूंगी तो
जी
तुम हमें समझा देना कि मैं इससे कैसे मैं ऑपरेट करूंगी
हाँ,
कि
और
हाँ
अभी
हमारा
फिलहाल के लिए अगर आपके पास पावर पॉइंट है तो व्हाट यू कैन डू इज आप खाली अपना कैमरा रोटेट कर दीजिए सो दैट वी कैन सी द
नहीं
पावर पॉइंट, और आप वहां से देख के बता सकिएगा.
नहीं मैंने ये भी तो करना चाहिए था हाँ ये तो मेरा दिमाग में नहीं आया नहीं बेटा
ओके
वो
मैम.
अभी मैंने तैयार नहीं मैंने हमारा अपना कॉपी बुक में ना पॉइंट लिख कर रखे हैं
कोई
तो
बात नहीं
ये
मैम, तब हम लोग नोट्स ही लिख लेंगे. आप पावर पॉइंट
हाँ
एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए, हम लोग नोट्स ही लिख देंगे, वही
हाँ
अच्छा
ये
होगा सब
नोट
लोग
से
के
एक
लिए.
दो हम पहले इसको बता दूं उसके बाद ये पॉइंट्स हम तुमको दे देंगे मुंह में ऐसे बार बार बोल के तुम लोग लिख लोगे
हाँ,
तो उसके
और
बाद
सेकेंडली आपका कन्वीनियंस के लिए, अगर कोई स्टूडेंट्स, इफ एनी स्टूडेंट्स इन दिस ग्रुप मिसेस एनी ऑफ द पॉइंट्स, तो क्या
हम्म
कर सकते हैं, लाइक से फॉर एग्जांपल 23 जन में से सब लोग पॉइंट सही से लिखा है, तो व्हाट दे कैन डू इज दे कैन टेक अप द स्क्रीनशॉट एंड अपलोड इट इन द ग्रुप, ताकि बार बार सब लोगों को कंफ्यूजन ना हो. एक ही बार में सब लोग का डाउट क्लियर हो जाएगा और आपको
या
बार
इट्स
बार
अ गुड
रिपीट करने
आइडिया
का जरूरत
एक्चुअली
नहीं करना
मार्शल.
पड़ेगा.
Yeah, I think yeah, this is a good idea, I think.
और आपको उतना
या
स्ट्रेस
इट्स अ
करने
गुड
का जरूरत
आइडिया.
भी नहीं होगा मैम.
गुड.
मतलब एक एक तुम्हारे में से एक ठीक से लिख लेंगे और
जी
वही
हाँ,
सबको हाँ ये भी ठीक है ये भी अच्छा होगा
आपको भी स्ट्रेस करने का जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगा और बार बार माइक ऑन करने का जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगा, और आपको डिस्टरबेंस भी नहीं होगा इस पे,
आ, मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है
अगर आपको कोई
तो
प्रॉब्लम ना हो.
नहीं करूँ मैं भी सीख लेना चाहती हूँ कि कैसे स्क्रीन शेयर करना चाहिए ये भी तो सीखना चाहिए बिकॉज
जी ठीक है मैम.
in the coming days who knows that we shall have to take all the classes online
जी
therefore
जी.
we must learn it हाँ
Yes,
ठीक है
ma'am.
बेटा yes so when I come to the third para the Islamic mysticism the Islamic mysticism or Sufism emerged it has started emerged means to come out emerged almost at the same time in the Middle East the Bhakti movement
जी ओके ठीक है मैम.
took place in India. At the same time, in the same period, another religious movement started in is Middle East, in Arabian countries. That the name of that movement was Sufism, and it started in the year 801 with a mystic, a religious woman whose name was Rabia. He was the mystic of Basra. You have heard the name of Basra. Basra ka gulab sabse acha hai. Basrai gulab. Basrai saint acha hai. Who is generally considered to be the most important saint in the Sufi movement, was also one of the first to enunciate. Enunciate means to declare, to proclaim, to announce. Bolna. Pehle bolna. She is the woman. Rabia is the first person, first woman mystic writer who said, declared the doctrine of divine love. That even God can be an object of love. Nobody thought about it. We are always afraid of God. We are in awe of God. You have heard the word awe, A-W-E. Awe means we feel awe for God. Awe means A-W-E, awe. Awe means fear and respect. You respect God because you are afraid of God. Try to understand it. We are afraid of God, so we don't do anything wrong because we know that God will punish us if we do something wrong. So we consider God as something to be afraid of, something far away from us, something like a king or something, some high-handed person who will punish us. But no, God is also an object of love. God can be a source of love. God can be the person with whom we can have the union through love. So Basra's Rabia is the first Sufi poetess rather, who enunciated, who declared the doctrine means principle, theory, the doctrine of divine love, similar to the nature of love as found in the Indian Bhakti poetry. The same love that we found in Bhakti poetry of Mirabai, Bhakti poetry of Chaitanya Dev, Kabir, or Lalam Fakir, even all these things. Is it clear now? May I go to the last paragraph of page number 18?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, please ask Ankit Kumar to stop his presentation, ma'am.
Oh, Ankit Kumar, please stop your presentation. I think he has touched unknowingly.
Please, yeah. Stop
He has
presenting.
touched, he has touched unknowingly and he is perhaps unable to stop it.
Yes, I've seen that.
Perhaps. Ankit, can you listen to me? Ankit, beta, usko band kar do. So let us wait. I think he will be able to stop it. I have also seen that somebody has opened something.
I think it's not Ankit, it's MD Jishan Ali. Maybe.
MD Jishan. MD Jishan.
इसमें वही
I think
लिखा
he can't hear also. I think he can't hear
Yeah,
also.
he can't hear us. MD Jishan, if you can hear us, please stop presenting.
Make some gesture. His camera is on. His camera is on. Perhaps he'll stop. Okay. Thank you. Page number 18, last paragraph. From the 11th century onwards, Sufi saints started exerting their influence on the masses in India, particularly in Sindh and Punjab. The Sufi poets flourished between the 13th and the 14th century, which coincided with the formative stages of the Bhakti movement in North India and also in certain parts of the South. So, two movements are taking place in two different countries. One in Persia, in Arab, and another is in India. From the 11th century onwards, so during the 1800s, Sufi poetry started in the hands of Rabia. And then from 11th to the 11th onwards, it started to came towards India along with the Mughals. When the Mughal emperors came here, they brought Sufism. And along with them, they came to started exerting their influence on the masses in India, particularly in Sindh and Punjab, because Sindh and Punjab is towards the northern part. The Sufi poets flourished between 13th and 14th century, which coincided with the formative stages of Bhakti movement in North India and certain parts of South. So Sufi poetry is coming from Afghanistan, Arab, from that area, from through the northern part of India. And Bhakti movement actually started in South India. From South India, it started towards northern India, to eastern India, to Odisha, Bengal, Bihar, and other things. So both the movements came together in the same time, and you will see that how they will merge with each other and how they will influence the uh, people's consciousness, the mind of the common people. May I go to the next para, that is page number 19, first para?
Yes,
May I
ma'am.
go?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sufism also started as a protest against the ruling class and against the rigidity of law. Sufism, though rooted in the Quran, derived much of its inspiration from various sources, some of which were anti-Quranic. Sufism distinguished by various Sufism distinguished by features such as conception of God as love, its approach to God through love, its dependence on God's mercy, and its idea of Tawhid and Dhikr often appeared as anti-Quranic in certain aspects. When Sufism came to India and with its features of fana, dhikr, and sama, these are all Persian words. We will later on write down the meanings, and the meanings are also at the end of the text. Those words which are in bold letters, you will get their meaning at the end of the text. The doctrines of Tawakkul, Allah, its emphasis on the role of Murshid and its Masuk Ashik, the common Indian found them almost identical with his own. So, two movements are running simultaneously from two different parts of the country in the same country. One is coming from the north, that is Sufi poetry, with Islamic movement, and another is coming from the south towards north and east and west, that is Bhakti movement. Sufism started as a protest, like Bhakti movement. Sufism also started in the same way, which was a protest against the ruling class. They are also people, common people, ordinary people. They have to protest against the dominating class, like in Bhakti movement against the Brahmins. They are against the religious priests, like the Islamic priests, and against the rigidity of law, against the laws which the religious priests of Islam used to exert as Quranic law. People, common people, went against them and they protested against it. Sufism, though rooted in Quran, Sufism started from Quran, but derived much of its inspiration from various sources. But it got various sources from various things. For example, Bhakti movement started in from devotional songs. From it has also its own unique presentation in Ved and Upanishad and other things. But later on, it got another dimension. Similarly, Sufism started from Quran, but later on, during its journey, it gathered different types of influences on it, much of which are anti-Quranic, not according to Quran. Is it clear? Sufism, distinguished by features such as conception of God as love, its approach to God through love, its dependence on God's mercy, and the idea of Tawhid and Dhikr often appeared as anti-Quranic in certain aspects. Those who are very hardliner, those people, religious people, Islamic people who are very hardliners, they don't believe dance, fana, dhikr, they don't like it. Uh, they call this to be anti-Quranic. So the meaning of the word Tawhid, fana, dhikr. Tawhid means oneness of God. Oneness of God. God is one. That is called Tawhid. Oneness of God. Dhikr means remembrance, remembering something. Dhikr. None of these are English or Hindi words. Most of them are Arabic or Persian words. Appeared as anti-Quranic in certain aspects.
Ma'am, I have
Ma'am, what the mean of
what does it
fana?
mean by anti-Quranic?
Yes, I will tell it what is anti-Quranic. Any other question?
Ma'am, what this mean of fana? F-A-N-A?
FANA means fana means annihilation of the self. Annihilation of the self. Annihilation. ANNIHILATION. ANNIHILATN. Annihilation means total destruction, annihilation of the self, total destruction of the self. This is a religious experience. When the devotee, the worshipper, wants to destroy himself completely in the memory of God. May I tell you a very famous Rabindra Sangeet line of very famous Rabindra Sangeet? Do all of you know Bengali? I don't know whether you will understand or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Rabindranath,
You can
yes,
say, ma'am.
no.
Yes,
Yes,
So most of us
We all
know
know.
Bengali, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Rabindranath has written one famous line. আমার এ ধূপ না জ্বালালে গন্ধ কিছুই নাহি ঢালে আমার এ ধূপ this body this human body is like a fragrant stick ধূপ like a ধূপ unless you burn the ধূপ the fragrant stick you won't get the smell unless you destroy the body. I don't say that you will kill yourself unless you use your body in the way for the God, unless you use your power or your capability for that thing which you like to be God. God is a conception. We don't know what is God. We think God is something who will help us. We think God is something who have all the good qualities in there. We think God is something who will guide us. So, আমার এ ধূপ না জ্বালালে গন্ধ কিছুই নাহি ঢালে. The poet is comparing his own self with a fragrant stick and he wants to annihilate himself, destroy himself. That is the idea of fana. Fana, annihilation of self. देखो बेटा मैंने पहले ही कहा था ये जो थ्योरीज है ना ये थोड़ा हम लोग बूढ़ो आदमी के लिए है थोड़ा बड़ा जो तो थोड़ा मेच्योर हो गया तुम लोग छोटे हो तो अब तुम्हारी तरह समझा रही हो आई डोंट नो वेदर यू विल एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड or not. Tawhid means oneness of God, dhikr means remembrance, fana means annihilation of self, and sama means listening. Someone has asked me what is anti-Quranic. Now, what is Quran? Quran is a religious book and the people used to explain it according to their own stand. There are some people who says Quran is something written like this, you should obey it. And somebody says, no, this is not the meaning of the Quran. He says, no, it is the meaning of the word. Those who are hardliner, those who are very hardliner, those who very strictly follows the letters of lines of Quran, they consider that singing, dancing, loving God, all these are anti-Quranic. These are not according to the theory of Quran. Is it clear, beta? Those the person.
Yeah, ma'am. It's clear. It's clear. Thank you.
Clear. Okay. Now I can go to next para. Then you have heard the word. These are all known words. Masuk, asik, murshid, guide. Because all we know due to the Hindi film industry, we have come to know all these things. And another thing is, Sufi poetry has much influenced Hindi poetry, Hindi religious songs, Hindi film songs. Many of Hindi songs are written under the influence of Sufi poetry. Next para, may I go to next para? Sufi thoughts were easily absorbed in Indian literary traditions. The Sufism, when viewed in the wider perspective of Indian tradition, should be considered as yet another tradition that rather than what came from Persia. So when the Sufi tradition came from Persia, from Arab to India, Bhakti movement, or the people who are already under the influence of Bhakti movement, the Indian people, they saw according to the surprise. With surprise, they saw, oh, Sufis are also telling the same thing that we are thinking, that God is a person of love, that we can always think of God as our lover. He is an object of love. We can sing and dance and all things. So they found similarity between Sufism and Bhaktism, and both will merge down and contributing a new dimension to the Bhakti movement. So new dimension came to the Bhakti movement. It is a way of life. In the last class, I have told you that how English words have entered into Bengali without knowing that what is a chop, what is a tassel, what is golden hair. Many English words have come into Bengali without our knowledge. Similarly, many movements like religious movements of Sufism has also influenced Bhakti movement. Sufi poetic tradition intermingled with Indian religious poetry and resulted in the creation of a new symbol, imagery of mad lover. And both the religious movement, Sufi movement and the Indian movement came and merged and they created a new symbol. That symbol is the symbol of a mad lover. Mad lover. A lover who is in extremely love, therefore he is like a mad. In Indian poetry and in Indian religious life. Okay, up to it is clear. Now may I go to next para? Next para.
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
Oh, yet another
Yes, ma'am.
similarity, yes, yet another similarity is the ritual of dancing, creating an atmosphere of rapture and delight. The frenzy around, the frenzy aroused by chanting the names of God, singing songs about divine love, and by dancing made the Sufi and the Indian saint equally conspicuous in the eyes of the people. Shishir Kumar gives example of woman poet saints, Meera from Rajasthan, Ondal from Tamil Nadu, and Mahadevi Akka from Karnataka, expressing their unrestrained love for God. Now, what is this ecstasy? What is this religious delight, this extreme rapture? In my own personal life, I have also realized it, but I did not understand then that what is this. When I was very young, suppose it is in the year 1967, 68, I have taken my birth in 1956. I am already 64 years old. So when I was almost a child, reading in class 7 or 6, 7, 8, something like, just was a child slowly growing up, I used to see my father. We were, my father was a very religiously devoted. I have never seen him to touch even a single drop of water without having his bath first and then doing his puja. His Narayan Shalagram Shila was there at our home. He used to give first prasad to goddess and nothing but just batasha and water and tulsi pata, and then he will eat just a drop of water. Before that, never. For 365 days, never. And when I was growing up slowly, 13 or 14 years old, I am gradually becoming conscious. I see that my father used to put ring the ghanta, that bell, and sing Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, and he is crying. And he is crying. And say, why are you singing crying? I was a child at that time. Why is crying? I don't like it. You're crying. He says nothing. But now I can understand that it was his religious union with God. He was trying to be united with God through his daily worship. He was seeking the help of the God Almighty. Now, this is ecstasy. This is the extreme joy. He was singing. Perhaps he was not feeling the joy. He was feeling pain. I don't know what he was feeling. So that I have not reached that stage. Maybe that I am not so much religious. Now, please come to the text. Yet, another similarity. There is another similarity between Sufi poetry and Bhakti poetry. What is that? That both of them created an atmosphere of rapture. Rapture is extreme joy. Extreme joy. That joy, extreme joy, so joy that when you also start to cry, that is rapture. Extreme joy and delight. The frenzy. Frenzy means trance-like condition. Pagoler moto obostha. The frenzy aroused by chanting of names of God, singing songs about divine love, and by dancing, made the Sufi and then Indian saint equally conspicuous in the eye of the people. Common people saw to their surprise that both the Sufi poets and the Bhakti poets are singing and dancing and feeling the rapture of song, crying, dancing, enjoying, both have similarity. Meera from Rajasthan, Andal from Tamil Nadu, and Mahadevi Akka from Karnataka expressing their unrestrained love for God. What are the examples of these things? Meera, Mahadevi Akka, and other things. Next paragraph. The epithet mad is not necessarily a pejorative one. Pejorative. Pejorative means insulting. The epithet mad is not necessarily a pejorative one in the Indian religious context. In the 16th century, we find this madness personified in Chaitanya. In the 16th century Bengal, we have seen Lord Chaitanya. He was also mad. He also went out from his house and was extreme joy for God. You know about his dancing and singing and about his being heard by the two drunkard Jai and Madhai, but he forgave them and took them as their disciples. In the 16th century, we find this madness personified in Chaitanya. His contemporary Malayalam poet Ejutha Charjan was often called Kalai Kublian, the drunken man, and in Sindhi poet Sachal was surnamed as Sadman, the intoxicated man. Even Kabir could not escape the frenzy of divine love. Frenzy means extreme joy, extreme sadness, extreme mad-like condition. Then there is a poem by Kabir. I am not skilled in book knowledge, nor do I understand controversy. I have grown mad, reciting and learning, hearing of God's praises, etc. It is not necessary. It is sufficient for us at this point to remember that the devotional frenzy that dominated the Bhakti movement found its most congenial medium. Congenial means suitable, most congenial medium, most suitable medium in the framework of love poetry. Now we see that how Bhakti movement saw its another development through love poetry. Next para, may I go to the next last page, page number 19.
Ma'am, what is
Yes.
meaning of pejorative?
What is meaning of? बेटा repeat करो एक बार.
Pejorative.
Pejorative means insulting. Insulting. INSULTING.
Ma'am, meaning of congenial?
Congenial means suitable. Suitable. You will say,
Okay.
I am not getting congenial weather. I am not getting congenial atmosphere so that I can go there. Congenial. Suitable. Okay? The longing, next page, page number 20. The longing means desire, ichha, wish. The longing for the beloved, as expressed in Mahadevi, became the central theme in Vaishnava poetry and Hindi, particularly in Maithili, and reached its dizzy height in the character of Radha. So the longing for the beloved, the desire to be united with God, is expressed by the religious poets like that of South India, Mahadev, and it became a central theme in the Vaishnava poetry in Bengali and in Hindi, particularly in the Maithili poetries where we have got the picture of Radha. In the son of Alvars, Alvar is a particular clan, particular religious sect of South India. They are the worship of Lord Shiva, Shaiva. Of the Veera Saivas of Meera and Kabir, there is a personal and direct dialogue between God and devotee. Retain the flavor of a secular love poem and a familiar domestic situation. Now, in course of time, a sort of element came into the religious poetry in which the worshipper is considering God as his lover. The worshipper is considering God as his husband, as her husband or her wife or someone like his lover. For Radha, as Meera compared himself as the lover of Sri Krishna. One of the South Indian poets, Mahadevi Akka, he considered Lord Shiva to be her husband, and he will not marry anyone. You know, Meera had married Krishna, and she did not like her worldly life husband, that was a prince of Chittor. She denied her position as husband. She accepted God, Krishna, to be her husband. Next para. The same process can be seen working in Sufi poetic tradition also. Same condition was also going through Sufi as it was in Bhakti. Sufi poetry attained a new dimension both in terms of poetic intensity and spiritual fervor when poets started exploiting secular legends involving characters deeply in love. Now, a new dimension came. This is a new element. What is that new element? Poets started to exploit secular topic, that means which are not religious topic, which are not religious ideas. So long the poets were worshipper poets like Mira, Kabir, others, they are expressing their love for God. Now a secular item came here. What sort of? See, uh, the story of Mahmud, king of Ghazni, and his slave Ayaj, though loathed by many because of his homosexual overtone, became a model of religious love poems. Eulogize means to praise, প্রশংসা করা. Eulogizing the total surrender and dedication of the lover to the beloved. Jalaluddin Rumi also made tale of Laila and Majnu. I think you know it. Laila and Majnu is very known to you. Laila and Majnu, a part of Sufi poetry. Laila and Majnu were two lovers, two young men and women. But Jalaluddin Rumi, a Persian poet, very famous Persian poet, he brought the secular topic like Majnu and Laila and their relationship like that of a devotee to God. Majnu's love for Laila and Laila's love for Majnu is like each other is like the God and the devotee. You will get another example in a Punjabi poem, Heer and Ranjha, as you, Laila and Majnu in Arabian word. In Punjab, there is Heer and Ranjha, and there Heer says, I always call Ranjha and Ranjha. Don't call me Heer. I am Ranjha myself. He loves his Ranjha, his beloved, so much. Like words of love is God, that he has himself turned into Ranjha. The emotional state of a Sufi in his religious quest means search. The emotional state of a Sufi in his religious quest finds a new symbolism in the ardent love of Majnun for Laila. The Sufis also took up several legends and transformed them into spiritual allegories. So the Sufi poets brought the non-religious element and converted them into allegories. Allegories means a sort of story in which you to tell story in which has a different meaning, which has symbolical meaning. Maulan Daud wrote Chandayan in Awadhi. It is a type of Hindi dialect. Maulan Daud wrote Chandayan in the Awadhi speech using the romantic tale of Lor and Chanda. Chanda is a lady. It soon became a part of the prestigious literature of Indian Sufis. Malik Muhammad Jaisi wrote Padmavat. I think we have heard it very much about Deepika Padukone's Padmavati. Malik Muhammad Jaisi wrote Padmavat. It is also a part of Sufi poetry. See how it is written by a Muslim Sufi poet. Malik Muhammad Jaisi wrote Padmavat in Avdi language. He is writing Hindi dialect, allegorizing. He is writing it in a symbolical way, allegorizing the legend of Padmini and the seas of Chittor. You know the story. Chittor was seized, attacked, and surrounded by the Mughal king. So, is it clear now, this para? May I go to the next para? This para gives you the idea that how non-religious elements are entering into Sufi poetry. Sufi poets are using non-religious, local, popular elements into Sufi poetry in a symbolical way. Next para, may I go to next para? The emergence of Urdu as a fine instrument of literary expression was to a great extent accelerated by the Sufi poets. Urdu of all Indian languages is the richest mine of expression of spiritual love. In the Sufi tradition, the poets of Punjab and Sindh drew their symbolism from the legends and romances of Heer and Ranjha, Sasi and Pannu, Sohni and Mahiwal. The Heers and Sohnis in Punjabi and Sindh poetry can be said to be manifestation of Radha in a Sufi dress. In these legends, one finds an authentic instance of intersection between the interaction between the poetic tradition of the Sufis and that of the Bhakti movement. Bulle Shah, often described as the Rumi of the Punjab, exploited diverse traditions of the religious poetry. His response to both Hindu and Islam thought betrays his Catholic temper, the soul's longing for the ultimate, the basic doctrine of Sufism, as well as the Bhakti movement finds a new form, the new myth. Bulle Shah created a new character of Hid, whose longing for God, the beloved, merged in the chorus of the devotee, Shiva or Krishna. So, students, I will now give you uh, some writing exercise. You write down the points. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please. I have been reading for a long time. I have been reading for a long time. So I will give you some points.
Ma'am, I think Mohammed Zishan is again presenting the video.
जीशान बेटा क्लोज कर दो जीशान
यार प्लीज तुम अपना माइक ऑफ करो, मेरे साइड बहुत आवाज आ रहा है।
जीशान उसको स्टॉप कर दो। हाँ ठीक है बेटा। अभी तो मैं लंबा टाइम तक पढ़ा रही हूँ, तो तुम लोग थोड़ा लिखने का काम अभी करो, फिर मैं वो चालू करूंगी। हाँ, you will now write down the points of this piece which I have been so long reading. First point: dominating note of medieval Indian poetry was of ecstasy. Point number 1: dominating, dominating, dominating note of dominating note of medieval Indian poetry. Medieval, MEDIEVAL, MEDIEVAL. Dominating note of medieval Indian poetry was of ecstasy. Was of ecstasy. Dominating note of medieval Indian poetry was of ecstasy. Ecstasy. ECSTSY. ECSTSY. Point number 2. Next point. Point number 2. Bhakti movement was a part of it. Bhakti movement. Point number 2. बेटा वो एब्रीविएशन चालू कर दो। भक्ति मूवमेंट B capital M capital. Bhakti movement was a part of it. It means Indian medieval poetry. Bhakti movement was a part of it. Next point. Point number 3.
Can you say it again? Bhakti movement.
Bhakti movement. Don't write the whole word Bhakti movement. Just capital B, capital M. Bhakti movement was a part of it. Was a part of Indian medieval poetry. You are not writing whole, is a part of it. It. Third point. Bhakti movement, BM. Bhakti movement was a protest by common man, common people. Bhakti movement was a protest by common people. Bhakti movement was a protest by common people. Bhakti movement was a protest by common people against the high-handedness, against the high-handed, HIGHHANTED, high-handedness of upper class people, high-handedness of upper class people, high-handedness of upper class people, especially SPL, abbreviation SPL. Why? Especially Especially Brahmins. Especially Brahmins.
एक्सक्यूज मी मैम, मैम थोड़ा टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम के लिए मैं चूक गई थी।
শুভান্বিত তোমার কথাটা শুনতে পেলাম না, আরেকবার রিপিট করো।
ম্যাম একটু টেকনিক্যালের প্রবলেমের জন্য আমি বন্ধ হয়ে গিয়েছিলাম, তো
আচ্ছা,
একটু বলবেন কোথা থেকে পড়াচ্ছেন?
না আমরা এখন ওই এই যে সেটা আমরা পড়ছি, এটা শেষ হয়নি, আর একটু আছে, কিন্তু আমি ইচ্ছে করে তোমাদের একটু কাজে লেখার কাজ দিলাম যাতে করে তোমরা একটু চেঞ্জ হয়, কনসেন্ট্রেশন ভালো হবে তাতে। তো আমরা ওই লেখার মধ্যে আমি জিস্টফুল, যেমন গতবার লেখায় পয়েন্ট দিয়ে দিয়েছিলাম, ওই পয়েন্টগুলো তোমাদের আনসারের মধ্যে ঢুকাতে হবে, হ্যাঁ। তো আমি এখন অলরেডি 2টো পয়েন্ট দিয়ে দিয়েছি, তুমি 2টো জায়গা বাদ দিয়ে 3rd পয়েন্ট থেকে লেখো, 2টো জায়গা পরে বন্ধুদের কাছ থেকে নিয়ে নিও, 2টো লাইন, খুব বেশি না। 3rd পয়েন্ট লেখো।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে।
ভক্তি মুভমেন্ট, না 3rd পয়েন্ট হয়ে গেছে সুহান্বিতা, আমাদের 4th পয়েন্ট হবে, সরি 3টে হয়ে গেছে, 4th পয়েন্ট হবে। 4th পয়েন্ট,
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা।
হিয়ার মানে এই ভক্তি মুভমেন্টে, হিয়ার গড ইজ নট এ ফার ওয়ে থিং, হিয়ার গড ইজ নট এ ফার অ্যাওয়ে থিং।
ম্যাম ম্যাম 3rd নাম্বার পয়েন্টটা কি স্পেশালি ব্রাহ্মণ অবধি রয়েছে?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, স্পেশালি ব্রাহ্মিনস, ব্যাস, ফুল স্টপ, ফুল স্টপ।
হ্যাঁ, তারপরে পয়েন্ট হচ্ছে 4 নাম্বার হিয়ার।
Fourth. Here God is not a far away being. Here God is not a far away being. B-E-I-N-G. Being মানে entity, অস্তিত্ব, মানুষ। Here God is not a far away being. মানে ভক্তি মুভমেন্টে গড কিন্তু অনেক দূরের জিনিস না, আমাদের চাইল্ড কিংবা আমাদের লাভার কিংবা আমাদের স্বামী, এরকম আমরা ভাবছি। পয়েন্ট নাম্বার 5, God is here imagined.
Ma'am, can you say, ma'am, there is a God not far away being? क्या कहा था आपने?
God is far away being, full stop, full stop. Next point, একটু কুইক লেখো, একটু কুইক লেখো। Next point, God is here imagined as a child. God is here imagined God is here imagined as a child, comma, a friend or a lover, or a lover, dash, put a dash after lover, lover, and then put a dash. Longing to meet, longing, L-O-N-G-I-N-G, longing to meet, longing to meet his beloved, longing to meet his or her beloved, longing to meet his or beloved. ঠিক আছে, এরপরে আমরা আবার টেক্সটে চলে আসবো। আবার এটা আমি
ফুল স্টপ, বিলাভেড এর পর ফুল স্টপ ম্যাম,
বিলাভেড এর পর ফুল স্টপ। এটা আমরা ভক্তি মুভমেন্টের পয়েন্ট গুলো লিখলাম, এরপরে আমি পরে আবার সুভি মুভমেন্টের পয়েন্ট লিখিয়ে দেবো। এখন আমরা আবার টেক্সটে আসি, তাহলে একটু ভ্যারাইটি হলো, আমরা আবার পড়তে ভালো লাগবে, একটা না পড়ে গেলে খারাপ লাগবে। ক্লাস হলে তোমরা কি চাও একটু বলতে, তাহলে তোমরা বলতে পারো। যদি দু একটা মনে করো আমি প্রশ্ন ধরতে পারি, প্রশ্ন ধরবো তোমাদের কুইজের মতন করে ছোট ছোট, নাকি আমি আগে পড়াটা শেষ করে দেবো? বলো তোমরা যা বলতে চাও।
আগে পড়াটা শেষ করে দিন না, তারপর প্রশ্ন ধরবেন।
ওকে ওকে ওকে, ঠিক আছে। তাহলে আমরা এবার নেক্সট প্যারাতে চলে আসছি। প্যারা ইজ বিগিনিং উইথ পেজ নাম্বার 20. The para is beginning the idea of the separation. পেয়েছো? The idea of the idea of the separation of the soul from God developed into a love symbolism, where the soul assume করা মানে গ্রহণ করা, নেওয়া, একটা জায়গা নেওয়া। হি, যেমন আমরা এভাবে ইউজ করতে পারি, হি ইজ অ্যাজিউমিং দ্য রোল অফ লিডার। অ্যাজিউম করা মানে নেওয়া। where the soul, where the soul assumes the image of a mad lover. The union, the union is the goal.
Ishan, turn off your microphone and video.
কে খুলেছে? আচ্ছা শোনো, আমার তোমাদের নামগুলো আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি না, কারণ আমার এখানে একটা পেজ চলে এসেছে, সেটাকে কি করে সরাবো?
मैम वहाँ पे देखिए, दो इंसान का फोटो देख के कुछ दिखा रहा है। एक दो इंसान का फोटो है,
ओ
एक
हाँ
चैट
हाँ
का
हाँ
फोटो है। हाँ,
हाँ
उस
हाँ
पे आप
हाँ,
जाइए, वहाँ पे आपको नाम मिल जाएगा।
अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है, हाँ हाँ ठीक है, हाँ मिल गया। थैंक यू थैंक यू, आई एम लर्निंग सो मेनी थिंग्स फ्रॉम
माय
यू।
प्लेजर मैम।
थैंक यू। So, I have been in the line. Union is the goal, and the joy of union is ineffable. But poetry lies in the process of the union, than in the union itself, both in Sufi poetry as well as in Bhakti poetry. It is the theme of longing and waiting for God. So, longing and waiting is main, not the union. Longing for union is the main thing in Sufi poetry, both in Sufi as well as in Bhakti poetry. It is the theme of longing and waiting for God, the theme of one's journey towards the beloved which dominates. Poetry is born out of the mad pursuits. In knowing him, the mad lover, as he approaches his beloved, fills with a joy the like of which he has never experienced. So, the last, this is perhaps the last para. Yes, the last para says that and both the Sufi poetry and Bhakti poetry is similar in one point, that in both the poems, the one thing which is important is the expression of the desire, of the longing of the lover, of the worshipper to be united with God. That longing or the desire, that cry for being united is the real thing, not to be united. When he is being united, we don't know whether he is being united or not. That is not the thing. The main thing is the desire to be united. Let me repeat it again, the para. The idea of the separation of the soul from God developed into a love symbolism. So this idea that the worshipper is separated from God, that is developed into a symbolism like the relationship between the two lovers. When the lovers are not united, they are also suffering from the same condition. Where the soul assumes the image of a mad lover. And in Sufi poetry and Bhakti poetry, the soul takes the image of a lover who is irrational, who is not listening to anything, who is extremely in love and desires madly to be united. Now, if you consider the um, concept of love, even in English poetry, Shelley, you have heard the name of Shelley perhaps. P.B. Shelley was a famous English writer. He says, what is love? He was a love poet. He is writing poetry of love and revolution. He says, love is man's search for identity. Human love is man's search for identity. I wanted to be united with the person whom I love. Radha wanted to be united with Krishna because Krishna's qualities were loved by Radha. People sometimes in love with that person whose qualities he or she loves, perhaps whose qualities he or she appreciates but did not have herself, or he or she has and he or she is trying to find out in another person, and therefore she or he is falling in love with that. This is the philosophical explanation of Western theory of love by Shelley. And you can find there is similarity between Sufi concept, Bhakti concept, and even in Western concept. No, let us come to the text. The idea of the separation of the soul from God developed into a love symbolism where the soul assumed the image of a mad lover. Up to this, it is clear, I think. The union is the goal, and the joy of the union is ineffable. The union is the goal, actual ambition of the lover, of the mad lover, of the poet, of the worshipper, is his desire to be united. That is his goal. And the joy of the union is ineffable. The joy in union is, you cannot express it. It's not expressible. This is not something to be expressed. It is not in your poetry. It is beyond your expression. It is something elsewhere. But poetry lies in the process of the union. When you are united, there is nothing to be described there. But the poetry is in the process of the union, in your desire to be united than in the union itself. Both in Sufi poetry, this line is very important. Both in the Sufi poetry as well as in the Bhakti poetry. It is a theme of longing and waiting for God, the theme of one's journey towards the beloved which dominates. What is dominating is the journey towards God. Poetry is born out of that pursuit. And out of that pursuit, out of that desire to be united with God, poets are writing poems in knowing Him. The mad lover, as he approaches his beloved, fills with a joy like that of which has never experienced. Now I will give you some time to break, as a break, and will ask you if you have any question, any suggestion, anything to tell me, any question or anything which you want that I should do it so that this will be more easier for you. Please tell me. This is now 12:23. Please tell me if you feel anything, any difficulty or anything to ask or any moderation, anything that I should do to make it more understandable, more swift or more slow. Ananya, Devojit, Indrani, anyone.
Madam, what kind of questions can we expect from the whole context?
You will have to write down answers either of 10 numbers or 20 numbers. 10 marks or 20 marks. You'll have to write down an answer on Bhakti movement. What do you know about that? I'll give you the question. 10 marks and 20 marks question you will have to answer. Okay? Devojit,
Okay,
okay?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you have no other question. So, now I'm asking you a question.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I just want to know that how lengthy the answer should be. For example, the 10 number question.
A 10 number question must be within 200 to 250 words. Don't write.
Okay.
So one important thing I must tell you that when you are answering the assignments, you will answer the assignment. Most of the students used to do what they used to do, just copy the whole thing. They just copy the whole thing. No, because this is not the way. If you copy the whole thing, what you will get is you will get just 30% mark. I will give you, any examiner will give you just a pass mark. What you will do is to read it, find out where the answer is, then write down in your own language. For example, if you are asked to write about Sufi poetry or about Bhakti poetry, I have given you some points. Use the point and then read the text. And within the text, you will get some lines which you will be able to accept them and change them into your own language. Don't copy them. Remember one thing. Remember, I will be, or any examiner will get your answer, assignment or answer. He will be taking at least 50 or 60 copies. Most of them are writing the same answer. And if you if you copy the same line from the beginning to end, what impression you will get, what impression you will create on the examiner? A very bad impression. There will be very costly. Use your own language. Take the material from the text, and whenever you will get the chance, as you are getting the chance of having a class with me, use the points that I am giving you. Okay, thank you. Now I am asking you questions. I am asking one very small question. It is like quiz. If I could have, could have rewarded you. If I get any chance, I will ask you a question. Who is a mad lover? Answer me within one single line. Who is a mad lover? Anyone? Open your mic and tell.
Mirabai, ma'am.
No. I am not telling that. I said, who is a mad lover? Whom we call mad lover?
Hello, this is Salman here.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Salman? Yes.
A mad lover is a devoted person. The word mad here is not used in a bad sense. In fact, here, from the context sense, it is used as a person who is devoted to God.
Who is very much devoted to God, extremely
Yes.
devoted, like a madman. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Next
No,
question.
ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, this is
Bolo?
Indrani. Ma'am,
Please.
mad lover is those we can tell those who are fully devoted to God.
Yes. Not only fully devoted, but he is also expressing his devotion through poem or
Yes, ma'am.
song or dance.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. If you want to give it, always try to give the answer in one line. Because it is like a
Okay, ma'am.
quiz. It is like a quiz.
Oh,
Next
okay, ma'am.
question. Next question. What is Bhakti movement? Within one line. What is Bhakti movement? You will tell Bhakti movement is a movement.
It was a protest by the common people against
Yes,
the
yes,
against
yes.
the Brahmins.
Yes. Against the Brahmin and the high-handedness of the higher class people. Right. Thank you, Dabujit. It's okay. Next question. When did it take place in India? Bhakti movement, when did it take place in India?
In the medieval period.
In the medieval period. We will be more exact when we will go to the next phase. It had taken place in South India, somewhere between 1800 and 1100. Okay, middle period.
14th century.
14th, 14th, 13th, 14th, it will be more developed in northern India. Okay, leave it. Next question. What is Sufi movement? Same answer, same type of answer. What is Sufi movement? What is Sufi movement? Sufi movement is also a kind of, tell anyone please?
Bhakti movement.
No, but what type of movement? Where it happened first?
Islamic Bhakti movement. Sufi movement
Yeah,
is Islamic Bhakti movement.
Sufi movement is Islamic.
It started
Religion.
from northern side.
Yes, Sufi movement is Islamic mystic movement started in Middle East during medieval period. Yes, okay. When it came to India, when Sufi movement came to India, during which period? Something is linked with it. Some ruling, some particular type of
With Muhammad
no,
Ghazni.
not Muhammad Ghazni.
With Mughal
With
period.
Mughal period. During Mughal period. It came with the Mughal period. Muhammad Ghazni was a man he had a loving relationship with his slave that was homosexual love, and that converted into Sufi poetry. That is another thing. And next question. What are the point of similarity between Sufi movement and Bhakti movement? Tell me at least 3 points. What are the point of similarity between Sufi movement and Bhakti movements? 1, 2, 3. 3 points there are.
Ma'am, both the movement was started at the medieval period.
Right? Very good. Number 2.
Number two is
Ma'am, it is considered that the God is not a faraway being.
Yes, Dabujit, right. You are. In this movement, God is considered to be a very close person, very nearby person. Number 2, number 3, another 3.
Ma'am, God is
Ma'am,
imagined as a child, friend, or a lover.
Oh, that thing. That Dabujit has said that is. Another thing, it has started from where? From society's which part? Tell me, know
By
that.
common
ma'am, the
people.
middle,
It came
the common
It was
people.
the
Yes, ma'am.
protest
by
from
common people.
by common people.
Both cases, they came from the downtrodden, those who were neglected so much. Very good, very good. Acha, okay, next. What was the most dominating note of medieval Indian poetry? In one word. What?
Ecstasy.
Ecstasy, right. Next question. Hmm. What was the most conspicuous image of the poet in medieval religious poetry? What was the most conspicuous? Conspicuous means obvious, prominent, sposto. Image. I have started my lesson with it. What was the most conspicuous image of the poet in medieval Indian religious poetry? You know, that was the name of the piece.
Ma'am, can you ask the question once again?
What was the most conspicuous image of the poet? What was the most conspicuous image of the poet of Indian religious poetry during medieval period? We have started
Mad
the
lovers.
mad lover, mad lover. Very good, very good. I'm very happy with my students. Very happy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, last question on this piece. How the Sufi poems, which are actually religious poems, how the Sufi poems became more secular. Secular is a new word if you don't know the meaning. SECULAR, secular means non-religious. How the Sufi poems became more secular. How the Sufi poem becomes more secular. I have read it. Sufi poems gradually became some sort of element came into it. Tell me.
They combined with bhakti.
Yes.
Bhakti movement.
Because it has very they're very similar to the Bhakti movement.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
better. No. Some secular element was introduced into it, like Laila Majnu, Eid Ranjha, Mahmud
Okay.
Ghazali and his slave. It started from God, but later on, try to understand. Laila Majnu was a
Okay.
part of Sufi poetry, but neither Laila or Majnu were God. Their tale was told in an allegorical way, in a symbolical way. Yes, and their love has been compared with the love
God.
for God. So
Okay.
secular element came into Sufi poetry when writers started to introduce various popular legends, various popular folk tales, popular stories introduced into their Sufi poetry. এগুলো চলতি গল্প, যেমন আমাদের বাংলায় আছে সাজু আজু পাই, ওই দেখবে নকশি কাঁথার মাঠে জসিমউদ্দিন কবি লিখেছেন
হ্যাঁ
সাজু
হ্যাঁ
আজু
হ্যাঁ
পাই। তেমনি আমাদের এখানেও আছে, বেঙ্গলেও অনেক লাভ লেডি লাভের গল্প আছে যেগুলো কিন্তু লোকাল সং। বেহুলা লক্ষিন্দরের গল্প, বেহুলা লক্ষিন্দরের গল্প that was never written anywhere, but later it was introduced. এই যে এগুলো হলো লিজেন্ড, বাইরে বিভিন্ন ছড়িয়ে থাকা, সেগুলোকে যখন নন রিলিজিয়াস পোয়েট্রিকে যখন ভেতরে ঢুকিয়ে আনা হচ্ছে, তখন রিলিজিয়াস পোয়েট্রিটা একটা নন রিলিজিয়াস লুক হচ্ছে, এবং সেটার ফলে কি হচ্ছে, সেটার ফলে ভক্তি মুভমেন্ট আর সুফি মুভমেন্ট দুটো মার্জ করতে সুবিধে হচ্ছে। যখন যদি ওরা খুব বেশি রিলিজিয়াস হয়, তখন ওদের দল দুটো ধর্মের যারা খুব রিলিজিয়াস মাইন্ডে তারা মিশতে দেবে না, এটা তাহলে সুবিধা হচ্ছে। আচ্ছা, এরপরে আমাদের এটা মোটামুটি 2.3টা কিছুটা হয়েছে। আর এরপরে আমরা চলে আসবো ইউনিট 3-তে যাব, কিন্তু তার আগে সুফি মুভমেন্টের কিছু পয়েন্টস আছে যেটা তোমরা লিখে নিলে। তোমাদের কি লিখতে অসুবিধা হচ্ছে? কারণ আমি তো তোমাদের ওই বারবার করে দিতে পারছি না।
No, ma'am, it's helpful.
No, ma'am.
তাহলে একটু কষ্ট করে লেখো, এই কয়েকটা পয়েন্ট হলেই তাহলে আমরা পরের দিন ইউনিট 3-তে বোধহয় যেতে পারবো, কারণ অলরেডি ইট ইজ 12:35 এবং আমি কাজের ব্যাপারে খুব মেথডিক্যাল। আমি যখন ধরেছি আমাকে যখন একটা পড়াতে দিয়েছে, তখন আই উইল ট্রাই মাই বেস্ট দ্যাট আই উইল কমপ্লিট দ্য সিলেবাস। আমি তোমাদের 4 blocks আই উইল কমপ্লিট ইট। সো টুডে আই উইল বি কমপ্লিটিং সেকেন্ড ক্লাস। We have remained only 8 classes more. We have to complete the 4 blocks within that. So in the next classes, we shall try to be a bit quick. আজকে তোমরা একটুখানি লিখে নাও সুফি পোয়েট্রির উপরে এবারে কয়েকটা পয়েন্টস, যেমন আমরা ভক্তি পোয়েট্রির উপরে লিখেছি, ঠিক আছে, সেরকম। So may I start? May I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Write down.
Yes, ma'am.
First, Islamic mysticism or Sufism. এটা ইন্ট্রোডাকশন লিখছো। Islamic mysticism, it has another name, Sufism. Islamic mysticism or Sufism Islamic mysticism or Sufism emerged, Emerged, Emerged. Islamic mysticism or Sufism emerge means to come out, beriye asha. Thousands of students emerges, thousands of students emerge every year from class 12. Thousands of students emerges passing out high secondary examination. Emerge kora mane beriye asha. Islamic mysticism or Sufism emerged in Middle East. In Middle East, almost during the same period, as the Bhakti movement, BM. Almost during the same period.
ম্যাম এটা কি আপনি পরের পয়েন্ট গুলো বলছেন?
হ্যাঁ, আমরা যেমন ভক্তি মুভমেন্টের প্রশ্ন লিখলাম পয়েন্ট দিয়ে, এবার আমরা সুফি মুভমেন্টের লিখছি। এইটা ইন্ট্রোডাক্টরি লাইন প্রথমেরটা, তারপরে আমি পয়েন্টগুলো বলবো।
ম্যাম এটা কি মানে সুফি মুভমেন্ট বলছেন?
সুফি মুভমেন্ট বলছি, রাইট।
সুফি মুভমেন্ট, সুফি। কিন্তু ম্যাম আমি না ভুল করে একদম মানে কাট অফ করে বেরিয়ে গেছিলাম, আবার রিজয়েন করলাম। তাহলে আমি কি করব ম্যাম?
তুমি কে বলছো? প্রিয়াঙ্কা বলছো?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
তুমি খাতাটা খুলে লেখো সুফি মুভমেন্ট। খাতাটা খুলে SM করে দাও, SM করে দাও।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা।
SM করে তাড়াতাড়ি লেখো। Islamic mysticism or Sufism emerged in the Middle East. Islamic Sufism, Islamic mysticism or Sufism emerged in Middle East. Middle East N capital, E capital. In the same period as Bhakti movement in India. BM করে দেবে। As Bhakti movement in India. Full stop. Rabia, 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 comma. The first Sufi poet. Rabia, the first Sufi poet.
ম্যাম এটা কি ইন্ট্রোডাকশনের সাথে চলছে?
হ্যাঁ, ইন্ট্রোডাকশনের সঙ্গে চলছে।
ওকে।
Rabia, the first Sufi poet, declared love. Rabia, the first Sufi poet, declared love. Love কথাটা সিঙ্গেল কোটেশনের মধ্যে। Declared love as quality of God. As quality of God. রাবিয়াই কিন্তু প্রথম সাহস করে বলেছিল, তার আগে কেউ বলতে পারেনি। তার আগে যারা ছিলেন তারা এটাতে বিশ্বাস করতেন না, তারা ঈশ্বরকে ভালোবাসার প্রতীক বলে ধরতে পারেনি। নাও ইউ উইল বি গিভিং জাস্ট পয়েন্টস। তোমরা পয়েন্ট নাম্বার 1-2 করতে পারো, কিংবা বোল্ট দিয়েও লিখতে পারো, স্টার দিয়েও লিখতে পারো। From 11th century onward, সেঞ্চুরি পুরো কথা লেখার দরকার নেই, ক্যাপিটাল CENT. From 11th century onward, Sufism came. From 11th century onward মানে ওখান থেকে। From 11th century onward, Sufism came and started to influence. Sufism came and started to influence Indian mind.
Ma'am,
started to influence Indian mind, particularly in Sindh, SIND, Sindh মানে যাকে আমরা সিন্ধু প্রদেশ বলি, particularly in Sindh, SIND, Sindh and Punjab. In Sindh, Punjab. It was originally a protest against it was originally a protest against the dominating priests and their rigid laws, dominating priests and their their rigid rigid মানে খুব কড়া, খুব strong, rigid law, religious laws আর কি, এই করা যাবে না সেই করা যাবে না। এখনো যেমন কিছু কিছু কান্ট্রিতে আছে যে মুসলিম উইমেন ক্যানট গো আউটসাইড অ্যালোন, একা যেতে পারবে না, তুমি একা বাজারে বই কিনতে যাবে তাও যেতে পারবে না, তোমাকে সঙ্গে তোমার ভাইকে কিংবা দাদাকে কিংবা যে কোনো একজন পুরুষ মানুষকে সঙ্গে নিয়ে যেতে হবে, ট্রেনের টিকিট কাটতে কোনো জায়গায় যেতে পারবে না একা। এগুলো পৌরাণিক দেখিয়ে করা হয়েছে, এইগুলোকে রিলিজিয়াস স্ট্রং রিজিড ল বলা হয়েছে। নেক্সট পয়েন্ট, though came from Persia, though came from Persia, though it came মানে Sufism came, though came from Persia, P-E-R, P capital, though came from Persia, it was easily absorbed, it was easily absorbed by the Indians, by the Indians, majority of whom were Hindus, majority of whom were Hindus. Full stop. Next point. It contributed a new dimension. Next point. It contributed a new dimension. It contributed a dimension to the Bhakti movement. It contributed to a new dimension with Bhakti movement. Sorry, dimension to the. It contributed new dimension to the Bhakti movement. Okay, clear? Next point. Both mingle, Sufism and Bhakti movement. Both mingle মানে মিশে যাওয়া, mixed, M-I-N-G-L-E-D. Both mingle and created the imagery of mad lover. Mad lover কথাটা single quotation এর মধ্যে। Both mingle and created the mad lover. The mad lover. The mad
Imagery
lover.
of
Imagery of
mad lover.
Mad lover. Full stop. Next point. Both in Bhakti and Sufi, মানে Bhakti movement and Sufi movement, both in BM and SM, both in BM and SM, dancing and singing, dancing and singing, dancing and singing in the name of God, in the name of God, in extreme joy, ওটা এক্সট্যাসি, in extreme joy, in extreme joy, singing and dancing in the name of joy, in extreme joy কথার পাশে ব্র্যাকেটে লিখে রাখো এক্সট্যাসি, extreme joy within bracket ecstasy, ECSTSY, ecstasy, bracket close, was an essential part of the ritual, was an essential part of their performance. Ritual na likhe lekho performance was an essential part of their performance. Essential part of their performance. Essential part of their performance. Last point on Sufi poetry. Last point. Examples of this mixture of Sufi and Bhakti movement. Examples of the mixture of Bhakti and Sufi movement can be seen in the singing and dancing of Mirabai, Chaitanya, Mirabai, Chaitanya, Mahadevi Akka, and many others. Mirabai, Chaitanya,
Madam,
Mahadev, হ্যাঁ বলো।
Madam, this Mahadevi Akka is Mahadevi Verma.
No, 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 no. Mahadevi Verma was a 20th century Chayabadi Hindi poet. Not
Yes,
only
ma'am.
poet, he was also a very good writer. One of his short stories I have translated into English. I don't know. I was also an avid reader of Hindi literature.
Yes, ma'am.
Only stories I read. I have translated 12 Hindi short stories from Hindi to English because I have seen during my long career as a teacher of English and a principal also, the majority of the people in Bengal consider Hindi literature as to be something synonymous with Hindi film. Most of them, only if you ask them about Hindi literature, they will tell you only Premchand and no one else. Devi Verma, Phanishta Gadnenu, there are so many writers, good writers.
Mahadevi Verma is also a devotee of Lord Krishna, I guess, or Shiva.
Yes, yes,
I don't know.
yes. And he was also a Chayabadi poet, and she has written a beautiful short story, not only story, it is, you can say his own, telling about his own life, about her own life. The name of the story is Gillu. Gillu is a story of a squirrel, Kadbirali.
Okay.
He wrote the story, but the story is such a beautiful narration that if you read it, it is a poem. So I translated it into English and I got it published so that some readers will come to know of that Hindi treasure house, how much full it is. So what I was saying, Mahadevi Akka was a South Indian saint poet. She was a saint poet like Mirabai. She has left her home. She was also a rich woman belonging to a palace like Mahadevi, left it, and she considered herself to be a wife of Lord Shiva. You will read her poems in later units. Next classes you will get it. Examples you can find it in Chaitanya, Mirabai. In Kabir, there is no dancing. There is a Kabir dohas are often sung. Dancing is coming later on. First of all, singing came and then dancing came. So when Mirabai Chaitanya came, dancing was in full form. So for this lesson, you need to.
Ma'am,
Yes,
Kabir
yes.
was part of Bhakti movement or Sufi
Yes,
movement?
Kabir was a part of Bhakti movement, but he was deeply
Bhakti
influenced by
movement.
Sufi movement. He was deeply influenced by Sufi movement because, like Lalan Fakir, he doesn't believe in religious existence. He says, "Poti Parpar Pandit Bhaya, Dhai Akhar Prem Ka." He said all these things. He doesn't say that always keep fasting and go to the Kineshwar temple and keep a long line there and give your worship. He's not saying like that. He says you can love people and thereby you can achieve God. So he was actually a part of Bhakti movement. Both Bhakti and Bhakti movement was later on deeply influenced by the Sufi movement that I have written it, isn't it? Mutual influence was there. Okay, is it clear now, everybody? Or is there anything seems to be difficult or something? Uh, so you will prepare one long question. One long question. Write down one long question. What is Bhakti movement and what is Sufi movement? What is Bhakti movement and what is Sufi movement? Write down about their origin. Write down about their origin and development. Write down about their origin and their development and how they mutually influenced each other. How they mutually influenced each other. How they mutually influenced each other. So please write it down within 200 words or maximum you can go to 50. And if you like, you can send it to my Gmail address. I'll check it and give you feedback. Neha, perhaps you have sent me and your answer I have said to make more.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If you add those lines, those points that I have given.
Yes.
Please try to keep
Ma'am.
Yes. Please try to keep it within 200 and 250 words. That is an exercise that how you will read it in a concise way. Yes, in the detail. What you want.
Yeah,
Ma'am, can you please repeat the last part of the question?
How they mutually influence each other.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Next day's lesson. Write down. Next day's lesson will be Unit 3. There is again Bhakti movement and Sufi movement in medieval period. Then there is more detailed study. How it is coming to India with the Mughals and how when it first came to India, Sufi movement, it came as a part of Muslim culture. Then the people who believed in Islam, they did not like Hindu religion. Why? Because Hindus were believer of many gods. We have 32 Koti Devata or something like that, thousands. That you can easily understand because of the running of mics. So many festivals are there. So Hindus believe in various gods. This is not liked by the Islam because Islam believed in one God, one image. Same thing happened when people from Christianity comes to know about Hindu religion. There is a sort of misunderstanding. So initially there was a sort of misunderstanding between the two religious groups, Muslim groups, they don't like multiple gods and goddesses in Hindu religion. But slowly, in course of time, a Sufi poetry influenced a lot in bringing down this misunderstanding. Both the groups come closer together, and both Bhakti movement took some elements from Sufi and from Sufi some Bhakti. And for example, Kabir was influenced by Amir Khusru. You have heard the name of Amir Khusru. All these we will be reading in the next class. Unit 3, we will start from page 29, 30. But I think we shall be in the next class, we should be a bit quick because we have known many things about Bhakti and Supreme. We don't want to repeat it. We will now go to the text in the next class. What is Kafi? There is a poem called Kafi poem by Bulle Shah. We will read the text. And then Baul Gan, Akka Mahadevi's poem, which is called Bhakana. And then Mira Devi's Bhajan, Mirabai's Bhajan, not Mira Devi, Mirabai's Bhajan. That where she is saying that I have colored myself with the color of Lord Krishna, with the uh, something like blackish color, not blackish, bluish color. I have made all my Chundri.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your class. It was really nice.
So we
Thank you,
start.
ma'am. It was very great.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. We'll be meeting next day on 11.
Thank you, ma'am.
At 11, same day.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Bye, ma'am.
Okay.
Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
হ্যালো
Hello.
ম্যাম, বলছিলাম যে কাল একটা ক্লাস ছিল আমার, তো সেই ক্লাসের কোনো মেসেজ আমার কাছে কাল আসেনি।
কার ক্লাস ছিল?
ইংলিশের ক্লাস ছিল, কলকাতা থেকে স্যারটা ছিলেন, তো ওনার কোনো মেসেজ আমার কাছে আসেনি গ্রুপ থেকে।
তুমি একটু যদি কলকাতা সেন্টারের হয়, তুমি কোন সেন্টারে পড়ো?
আমার কোড হচ্ছে 2886 আর আর্টসে কলকাতা।
আমি জানি না, ওই অসীম স্যার যদি আসেন, অসীম স্যার সেখান থেকে আসেন তো
ম্যাম,
তাহলে ওনার সঙ্গে কথা বলে নিও। একটু অপেক্ষা
আচ্ছা,
করুন।
ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ, বলো বলো।
ম্যাম, আপনার সম্বন্ধে কিছু বলুন ম্যাম, শুনবো একটু।
আচ্ছা,
কোন
আমি
কলেজে পড়তেন?
আমার নাম ছন্দা শুক্লা হাজরা। ছন্দা আমার অরিজিনাল নাম, শুক্লা আমার প্রথম পদবী, মানে বিফোর ম্যারেজ আই ওয়াজ শুক্লা, ছন্দা শুক্লা, এন্ড আই গট ম্যারিড উইথ হাজরা। সেই জন্য আমার পুরো নামটা হচ্ছে ছন্দা শুক্লা হাজরা। আমি কলেজ টিচিং এ ছিলাম দীর্ঘ 35 বছর। বহু জায়গায় পড়িয়েছি। এর মধ্যে বাঁকুড়া খ্রিস্টান কলেজ নাম শুনেছো? সেখান থেকে আমি চলে আসি নৈহাটি কলেজে পড়িয়েছি, নৈহাটি আরবিসি কলেজ ফর উইমেন। তারপরে সেখান থেকে আমি প্রিন্সিপাল হয়ে চলে যাই কৃষ্ণনগর উইমেন্স কলেজে 2005-এ। 2005 থেকে 2012 পর্যন্ত আমি কৃষ্ণনগর উইমেন্স কলেজের প্রিন্সিপাল ছিলাম। 2005 থেকে 2012 পর্যন্ত কৃষ্ণনগর উইমেন্সে। 2012-তে আমি কাঁচরাপাড়া কলেজে জয়েন করি, কারণ আমার বাড়ি কল্যাণীতে। তো কৃষ্ণনগর যেতে খুব কষ্ট হতো। তো আবার পরীক্ষা দিয়ে আবার এমপ্যানেল হয়ে কাঁচরাপাড়া কলেজে আমি জয়েন করলাম। 2012 থেকে 2016 পর্যন্ত কাঁচরাপাড়া কলেজে পড়িয়েছি। ওখান থেকে আমি রিটায়ার করেছি 2016-তে। তারপরে থেকে আমি এদের সঙ্গে যুক্ত আছি, মানে ইগনু সেন্টারে পড়াচ্ছি। পড়াতে খুব ভালোবাসি আর লেখালেখি করতে ভালোবাসি। আমি গল্প অনুবাদ করি। অনুবাদ করতে মানে ইংরেজি থেকে বাংলা, বাংলা থেকে ইংরেজি বা হিন্দি থেকে বাংলায়, হিন্দি থেকে ইংরেজিতে আমি ন্যাশনাল বুক ট্রাস্টে অনুবাদ করেছি। এই জন্য অনুবাদ করতে ভালোবাসি। আমার মনে হয় কোনো একটা জিনিস ভালো পড়লে তখন মনে হয় যে এটা বাংলায় পড়লাম কিংবা ইংরেজিতে পড়লাম, তাহলে যে ইংরেজিতে জানে না সেটাও তো এটা রসটা পেলো না। আমি যদি এটা অনুবাদ করি কেমন হয়, এইরকম একটা মানসিকতা থেকে আমার অনুবাদটা উঠে এসেছে। তারপরে অনুবাদ করেছি, ভালো লেগেছে অনেকের। এখন সেরকম আর ভালো মেটেরিয়ালও পাই না যে যেটা আমি অনুবাদ করবো। কারণ তোমার মনটাকে যেটা টাচ না করবে সেটা তো অনুবাদ করে কোনো লাভ নেই। আমি এটা টাকার জন্য করি, আমি আমি কাজটা করে আনন্দ পাই বলে করি। আমার করতে ভালো লেগেছে, অন্যরা করুক এটা আমি চাই। তো আমি এক মহিলার গল্প অনুবাদ করেছিলাম, উষা মহাজন বলে। সেই গল্পগুলো সবই মোটামুটি হিউম্যানিস্ট গল্প, কিছুটা ফেমিনিজমের টাচ আছে। কিছুই না, একটা পত্রিকায় গল্পটা দেখে আমার ভালো লেগেছিল, আমি অনুবাদ করেছিলাম। ওনার গল্পটা হিন্দি থেকে ইংরেজিতে অনুবাদ করেছিলাম। তো উনি যেহেতু বেঁচে আছেন, তা ওনার অনুমতি নিতে হয়েছিল। তা উনি তখন খুশি হয়ে আমাকে ওনার একটা বই পাঠিয়ে দিলেন, বললেন তোমার এই ইংরেজি অনুবাদটা এত ভালো হয়েছে, আমার এই বইটা পাঠাচ্ছি, এটা নতুন বেরিয়েছে, তুমি এর পুরো গল্পটা অনুবাদ করো। 12টা, আমি তোমার কাছ থেকে কোনো পয়সা নেবো না। তারপরে আমি সেটা বাংলায় অনুবাদ করলাম, এসে খুব খুব অ্যাপ্রিসিয়েশন পেলো। এরকম চলছে। এখনো অনুবাদ করতে ভালোবাসি, যদি আমি ভালো কাজ পাই, ভালো গল্প বা লেখা যেটা করলে লোকের ভালো লাগে। ঠিক আছে কমন, আমার টাইম আপ হয়ে গেছে, 1টা বেজে গেছে। আমি জানি না আমার বলো। স্যার তো এখনো এলেন না। তো তুমি তাহলে পরের দিন একটু জিজ্ঞেস করে নিও স্যারের ফোন নাম্বার আছে কি।
আচ্ছা ম্যাম।
তাহলে
স্যারের ফোন নাম্বার।
তাহলে তুমি তুমি ওদের ওদের ও আমাদের সেন্টারে তো তুমি ফোন করলে হবে না। তোমাদের ওখানে কোনো ফোন নাম্বার নেই তোমাদের সেন্টারে, তুমি যেখানে পড়াশোনা করছো 2886-এ?
না ম্যাম, এখনো তো শুরুই হয়নি, মানে কলেজে তো আমি তো নতুন ব্যাচের কোনো শুরুই।
না না, তা বলছি না। তুমি ওখানকার যে তোমার ওয়েবসাইট আছে, ওদের তো একটা ওয়েবসাইট আছে।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা।
And from also
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
ওই যে আরেকজনকে আছে দেখো, নেহা বলছে 2886 এ। নেহার সঙ্গে কথা বলো না।
हाँ मैं 2886 से हूँ।
তো
क्या
ये
बोला?
হ্যাঁ বলো বেটা, সুগান্বিতা বলো। সুগান্বিতা
হ্যাঁ তো নেহা প্লিজ সেন্ড ইউর ফোন নাম্বার প্লিজ।
या यशा तुम नोट कर लो।
ওকে
নোট করো, নোট করো না, কারণ আমি এখন বেরিয়ে যাবো, আমার ব্যাটারি আউট হয়ে গেছে।
62
90
90
54 54
54
6290541455
455। থ্যাংক ইউ নেহা, আই কল ইউ ব্যাক।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে, বাই। আমি শেষ করে দিই, কারণ আমার ব্যাটারি শেষ হয়ে গেছে। রাখো তোমরা।
ওকে ম্যাম, থ্যাংক ইউ।
बाय मैम। बाय मैम।
থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম, থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম, বাই ম্যাম।
मैम चली गई।
সুগন্ধিতা, তুমি আমাদের ইগনু স্টাডি গ্রুপে আছো, অ্যাড আছো?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
তো কালকে আমি একটা লিংক তোমাকে পাঠিয়েছিলাম, তুমি ওটাতে অ্যাড হওনি?
ওটাতে অ্যাড হই তো কালকের ক্লাসটা জয়েন করলাম, কিন্তু যে আমাকে একটা মেসেজ এসেছে তোমাদের ফোনে, সেই মেসেজ কোনো আমার ফোনে আসেনি। তুমি এটা পাঠালে সেটা থেকে আমি জয়েন কালকের ক্লাসে, না হলে তো হতেই পারতাম না।
हाँ
ये तुम्हारा टोटल कितना कौन कौन सा सब्जेक्ट है?
7 सब्जेक्ट बैक।
आई मीन कौन सा सब्जेक्ट, मतलब कौन सा कोर्स ली हो? इंग्लिश के अलावा कौन सा कोर्स ली हो?
सॉरी सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है आप लोगों का आवाज।
इंग्लिश के अलावा और कौन सा सब्जेक्ट है तुम्हारा?
ये 132 136 और 135।
हिंदी का भी है तुम्हारा?
नहीं नहीं, हिंदी का नहीं है।
अच्छा ठीक है।
तुम्हारा कॉलेज का नेम कौन सा है चुचुड़ा? अच्छा अच्छा, मैं तुमको फोन कर लूंगी।
या श्योर।
हाँ हाँ ठीक।
ओके चलो बाय।
ओके बाय बाय गाइस।
बाय गाइस।